Bandung 2 presents the After Dark Debates.
Critical discussions on contemporary issues.
I used to be involved in this race relations industry some years ago, where the British Home Office would talk about they're going to eliminate racism or discrimination, racial discrimination. That's what racism was, racial discrimination. Then it wasn't even racial discrimination, it was discrimination. So therefore we wouldn't be able to tell white from black and blue from green because we wouldn't be able to discriminate. We wouldn't know if we outside or inside because the power to discriminate would be eradicated from everyone.
Would we call it multiculturalism?
Well, they could call it any kind of multiism.
Can I just stop you there? I know you're on a train of thought. Now, to hold it and carry on, yeah, it's just for the benefit of myself and possibly any others, is what I understand you're saying is the issue is not discrimination, the issue is race. Because you need discrimination. I mean, the point that was started right at the beginning is the Furqan, the criterion. I mean, you can only see the sun in the sky because the sky is dark relative to the sun. Otherwise, you couldn't pick one object out against the other. So the point I hear you making here is there's a kind of game being played here, a trick.
With the language.
Yeah, with the language. Sorry, anyway.
Yeah, with the language. So if there are various races, as they say, you must be able to discriminate in order to understand, is that one of those races and is that a different one, and so on. So discriminate is really just to see clearly and be able to tell the difference between something. So we're talking about, well, we're not supposed to have racial discrimination. Well, we can't have discrimination against the people who's in charge of discrimination. Now, because if you really check the law that they wrote, it's against the victims of racism. We were saying that one guy would be saying, a guy who take upon to himself, maybe an imam, the God-given right to determine who is valuable and who is not. And Brother Abdul Karim mentioned they use ideas in the Quran, definitions to invade, kill, oppress people. Well, that's not really confined to Muslims. It's been doing before Islam and after Islam, and it's being done today. Now, if we look at, say, Australia, I don't want to talk too long, Australia, and you look at the term native, for instance, that was a word that was used to gain Australia by Britain. They classify these people as natives. So we think, well, what does native mean? It means someone who born in this place and live here and so on. We think it means indigenous. But it doesn't, not at that time. It meant that a native does not have the right to own land, to own sea, to own himself. That's what native meant. So therefore, Queen Victoria gave assent, a political assent, in the House of Parliament to take Australia as British property. And this is also what the Portuguese did. They call the people Creole. And we back home think, well, Creole means a person of Negroid extraction, Negroid, and that's what it means. But it doesn't mean that. It means something that the nation of Portugal owns that is not in Portugal. So all the fig trees and the banana trees and coconut trees in Angola is Creole. And we think, you know, we having Creole food and Creole clothes and Creole dance and all sorts of rubbish. They trick us with the language.